Hello guys, I've just been on Rate My Teacher and I'm a bloody 6 out of 10, which is appalling. I was a 9 at Some Heights High. If you don't know what that is, it's this website where the students are able to rate their teachers. When I saw I was a 6, I thought that can't be right. But of course I've only been at this school for not too long, so it's a new listing. So that could explain the 6. I've only got one review too. It's not very... Where is it? It's not bad. He craps on a lot. 6 out of 10. Oh, stuff you little whoever you are. And that Scott idiot, that first year teacher that I caught... he caught me walking out of my storeroom last week. I looked him up on Rate My Teacher and he's a 10 out of 10 with 45 reviews. And the prick's only bloody been here since the beginning of the year. They're all raving about what a legend and good bloke he is, and that's because he bloody sucks up to them in the playground at lunchtime. I've seen him there bloody playing handball and trying to be in with the kids. Classic first year teacher move, trying to be best friends with the students. It never bloody works out. They see through it. I find my method is if you treat them mean, that's what keeps them keen. And that's coming from bloody long time teaching, decades. I still have my don't smile till Easter policy every year with the students. You don't give them an inch for the first term and be an absolute bastard and earn their respect. And then post-Easter you can throw out a smirk or a little personal reference, tell them about some little home life tidbit or throw out some youth lingo and tell a student they've got riz and you've won them over then. They're putty in your hands for the rest of the year. Anyway, I think I'm going to go on that Rate My Teacher site with my few little fake student accounts that I've got and just try and get my ratings up. 6 out of 10 is, and one review, bloody woeful. So I've done this before, it's easy and no one can tell. Just gives you that little boost. I might even give young Scott a few 1 out of 10s to put him in his place. I did that. I had a fight with Rodney once and I absolutely slaughtered his Rate My Teacher profile with slanderous reviews from my fake student accounts. He still to this day doesn't know it was me. Let's do this, G-Timers. Welcome to Mr. G's room, G's room, G's room. Welcome to Mr. G's room, come inside. Please be quiet, you nines. And take your shoes off and find a spot on the floor. Welcome to Mr. G's room, G's room, G's room. Welcome to Mr. G's room now.
Hi, Mr. G. Loving this whole podcast for you. We all want to know, why did you leave Some Heights High? Was it because you didn't get your Performing Arts Centre, the Gregson Performing Arts Centre, or what reason? Thanks, love you.
Do not ask about my Performing Arts Centre. No, I did not get it. That was a bloody missed opportunity for them to turn the school into the premier performing arts high school in Australia. I blame bloody Margaret for her obsession with sport. That's another whole bloody podcast. So your question, why did I leave Some Heights High? Well, this whole turd fest went down around a year ago. It's etched in my mind very clearly, so I'm happy to divulge. I've had a lot of questions about this, so this is going to be a tell-all episode. So, look, when Margaret left a few years ago, we got a new principal, Stuart Kim. Absolute P-R-I-C-K. Excuse my French. I didn't take to him from day one. I had written and rehearsed a flash mob for his arrival on the first day, which was very nice of me to do, as I just wanted to welcome him to the school and let him know who I was and what I was capable of. And it was a huge production where the kids gradually came alive in a song and dance routine from the staff car park through the corridors and out into the playground, following alongside this Stuart Kim guy. So I had a cast of 85 kids following him as he got out of his car and came in. And tell you what, his reaction to it was lacklustre to say the least. And it bloody peeved me off, no end, because I've been rehearsing the thing for weeks. I didn't have to do it. And the guy bloody barely cracked a smile. Then, later that day, not only did I discover that he had taken over my car parking space in the staff car park, which I'd commandeered when Margaret left, just popped my sign over hers, he'd shoved all the non-department heads, including myself, into the gravel car park around the back of the gym. Bloody hell. That was like the first morning staff meeting announcement. I was bloody fuming. And then, before recess, he's taken all my warning signs from the staff room, taken them all down. He didn't approve. This was all unbeknownst to me. So I come in at recess, not only had my plunger been used by some filthy teacher and was sitting in the drying rack, my low cholesterol milk was half gone, proving that the warning signs were actually effective. As soon as they were gone, all bloody hell broke loose. So I may have overreacted, but I did throw Stuart's lunch that his wife had made him down the toilet as revenge. Some sort of curry thing, so I just scraped it and flushed it. And then word got back to him and I was summoned into his office and given a stern warning. He said that all he had for lunch was an out-of-date wafer that he found in the staff kitchen cupboard. So I offered to give him half of Rodney's foot-long sub, which he agreed to. And I just grovelled and, said I was a bit jumpy around change and I'd be right eventually. I gave him the benefit of the doubt. But look, I wasn't right. We just locked horns for the whole of first term. One time I was late to an important staff meeting and Stuart hits the fan and screams at me. But I was in the middle of an improvised crying monologue demonstration for my year 9s. I'm not just going to walk out on that because of a bloody staff meeting. When I'm in the moment and I'm in character, time is irrelevant. I mean, it did drag on for 50 minutes or so, but that's a Meryl Streep thing. She says, time stops when one acts. So, I think she said that. So, look, then Stuart, this was the real thing that got my goat. Stuart, the bastard, cancels year 10 to 12 drama during COVID, saying it was a directive from the Department of Education, which was absolute bull dust. So I'm having to bloody teach English, for Christ's sake. And all my drama students have to stop at the end of year 9. They can't go on. The bloody future actors of Hollywood, starved of a satisfactory drama tutelage from me, a bloody industry professional, all because of some idiot principal with short man syndrome, who had it in for yours truly. Then the whole thing ends up bloody triggering my eyebrow alopecia. So I've got this stress-related hair loss on my left eyebrow. I've had it for years and it flares up when I'm in high-stress environments. So my whole bloody eyebrow drops off, or it becomes very thin and have to draw it back on with an eyebrow pencil. So I stormed into his office one day when I was virtually bald in the left eyebrow to show him what he'd done to me. Eyebrow hair bloody snowing down on the desk in front of him. And I said to him, Stuart, if I'm on stage in one of my out-of-school one-man shows that I do in my own time, with a bloody eyebrow hair spraying all over the front row of the audience members, I will hold him entirely responsible. And then I stormed out and bloody slammed the door behind me. Oh, God, it just bloody driving me crazy even telling the story. I need a sip of my chai to calm down before I can tell you the rest of the story. I always get bloody worked up when I talk about Stuart Kim. Rodney's got a non-Stuart Kim policy whenever he comes over. It's going to give me a bloody coronary just telling you the story. All right, back in a sec, G-timers. Okay, I've calmed down now. Just been listening to an ASMR recording I did. It's just me eating a mango and licking my lips, but it's very calming. Look, now I've told you part 1 of that horrendous story of what went down. And it's reminded me of my flash mob that I did for Stuart Kim on his first day. And I wanted to show you that song because I was very proud of it, even though he wasn't that thrilled. So it was sung by my students, as I said, but also I was the principal singer-dancer in the flash mob too. So I'll say I'll be doing the kids' parts, but I'll say this is me on the lines that I did as solos. And yes, look, the playground just came alive as Mr. Kim walked through from his car through the corridor and out into the playground. So yes, if you can imagine the scene, it's very early morning. All my cast of students are pretending to go about their morning routine, saying rhubarb, rhubarb, and suddenly Stuart Kim's car pulls into the staff car park. He gets out and I say, cue music. So Mr. Kim gets led in from the car park into the corridor and two students burst into song. We want to welcome you. It's your work debut. Another boy joins in here. We're glad to see you and we want to get to know you. And this is Mr. G solo. I spin out from the lockers. I really like your style. You got a crazy smile. You're my boss, you're my boss, you're my principal, my two-button wow. And then we lead Mr. Kim out into the playground. Full cast joins in. Welcome, my boss, Mr. Kim. So let's discuss. Mr. Kim, so glad you're my principal. You're my principal. You're my boss. Skateboarders skate past, high-five him. Mr. G's front and centre. Welcome, my boss, Mr. Kim. So let's discuss. Mr. Kim, so glad you're my principal. You're my principal. You're my boss. Some extreme group choreo going on here. You're my boss. Mr. G gets lifted up by two boys. I'm Mr. G, head of drama, and you're my boss. Well, not technically head of drama. All right, I need to get through this Stuart Kim resignation story. Let's just do it. Okay, so I remember saying to Rodney around this time, I said, I have given 20 plus years of my friggin' life to this school, my golden years, when I was in my prime, giving my bloody heart and soul to drama, my productions, my teaching. I couldn't go over to LA for pilot season because I was too busy bloody teaching and producing school musicals that were bloody putting the school on the map. And was I ever financially compensated or even given a bloody thank you from the principal? No. I did it for theatre. I did it for the students' love and the accolades and the reviews that I'd write for the local paper. And I did it for drama. I bloody did it for drama. And so when I did my original musical, Tracy, A Very Windy Christmas, about the Darwin Cyclone Tracy disaster of 74, my joke with Rodney is that it's about Tracy from Reception's flatulence problem. Only kidding. Oh, God. So no, it was very much about Cyclone Tracy and how it tore that town of Darwin apart in 74. Look, it was a fantastic show. With a lot of incredible special effects and projections, and we had these huge fans on stage and debris flying everywhere, and some of the audience got hit by things, but it was all part of the experience. It was a tactile kind of show. Stuart Kim comes along on closing night. No, well done, Greg. He says to me, have you thought about writing about a topic that's more relevant and now? More relatable. I said, Cyclone Tracy is pretty bloody relatable to my Auntie June, who had to cancel her trip to Kakadu in 75 because of Darwin Airport being shut for months. And I bloody stormed off. Can you believe it? Where's the bloody well done? So it comes around next time I'm doing one of my WOW shows, every second year, of course. And I've got this thought in my head that bloody Stuart Kim's going to want it to be relevant. So I wrote a beautiful show with a climate change theme called Hot Little Inuit, using the correct terminology there. So it was about a young Inuit boy in Alaska who lives in an igloo, and he becomes pen pals with a teen girl climate activist. So it was very relevant. And so she comes over to Alaska to visit him. She meets a talking polar bear and they waltz and etc. And it's all about her journey to find her pen pal, the Inuit boy, in his igloo. And it was a wonderful show. I had my bloody year sevens in their little fur coats playing baby seals. I just cut up one of Mum's old furs that she used to wear in the 70s. And they were playing the little seals that get clubbed by the poachers. And so we had fake blood all over the stage. And it was a very topical show. And anyway, the clincher of the show is there's an actual igloo on stage when we finally get there. It's slowly been melting, of course, due to climate change. And I managed to source these beautiful big blocks of ice, and we built this on-stage igloo, and it looked fantastic. So there's the big reveal, the curtains come across, and there's the igloo. So within the story, the climate change activist teen girl gets caught up in this whole love triangle thing with the polar bear and an Arctic wolf, and there's this whole Me Too thing around that. She doesn't make it to the igloo in time, and unfortunately, a block of ice has melted from the ceiling of the igloo because of climate change, and it's crushed the Inuit boy to death. So it's a very dramatic and sad show. We obviously had to use a paper mache boy for the skull-crushing scene at the end there, so it was all very safe. However, in the tech run, what I discovered was the ice really did melt quite fast under the lights, and it ended up damaging the floorboards in the hall quite badly. So I had to confess to Stuart Kim. He gets a quote, and it's $50,000 to repair the stage. And the school insurance doesn't cover it because it's teacher error. And he's absolutely screaming his head off at me. I screamed back at him and I said, "You wanted relevant. I was just doing what you said. It's your fault. And if you allowed me to charge $280 a ticket for my productions, which is the going rate for a high-end Broadway show, a reserve, I said we'd have the money in no time to pay for the damage. For Christ's sake." And he says to me, "Greg, we are not a professional theatre company. This is a school, and the musicals are a minor, unimportant, extracurricular hobby for these kids. And it's not advisable to give students false hope about a career in an extremely niche field." I bloody blew my stack. Oh my God, I've never been so insulted in my life. And I said, "You are asking me to destroy the dreams of my drama students. No siree. I had way too many people try to bloody burst my bubble over the years when I was their age. Oh my God. These kids come to me with a dream of making it big on Broadway, in Hollywood. You know, they want Emmys, they want Oscars, Logies. And it's my job to make that happen for them, not to tell them to get over it." I was bloody furious. So I ran out of his office. I grabbed my letter of resignation. That's always on standby in my pigeonhole. And I slapped him across the face with it and I said, "Sayonara, Stuart." Stormed out so fast. Oh my God. I was like a bloody greyhound after a rabbit. I was leaning into the corners as I stormed out up the corridor to my office. I swept up all my belongings, sped out of the bloody car park in the Hyundai so fast. Rodney said I left skid marks on the school car park, which I was pretty impressed with as well. I'm a hoon when I need to be. And I just drove and I just steam coming out my ears. I didn't know where I was going. I just drove like a maniac, and I considered driving straight off a cliff, but I didn't want to give Stuart the satisfaction. My musical was cancelled, and I'd lost the only thing that I knew and loved, which was teaching drama. So yeah, my time at Summer Heights High was over and I was thrown into the abyss. Well, that's it for this week, G-Timers. I think I'm going to end it there. I'm too worked up. Onwards and upwards. I've landed on my feet now, so. Another drama masterclass and some Summer Heights High goss next week. Let's go positive from here on in, guys. I'm going to work on my Rate My Teacher profile tonight, and I'll catch you next week. This season of Mr. G's Room is presented by Helen Gregson. Helen Gregson appears courtesy of Peace and Force Management. This podcast is recorded and produced by Helen Gregson in Sydney, Australia. All songs written and produced by Helen Gregson. Audio recording by Helen Gregson. Post-production by Helen Gregson. Set design by Helen Gregson. Videography by Helen Gregson. Wardrobe by Helen Gregson. Graphic design by Helen Gregson. Special thanks to Craig from Pear for cleaning out the storeroom and Rodney Parsons and Summer Heights High for the on-air sign. The views, thoughts and opinions expressed in this podcast are those of Helen Gregson, and let's face it, is Summer Heights High NDA is probably expired now, so go have a cry. Any resemblance to stories and people's deceased relatives, it's not Helen Gregson's fault, it's simply telling it like it is. For updates, follow the Mr. G's Room Facebook page. This is the Helen Gregson Production. See you next week, everyone. And remember, it's G time, not free time. Take your shoes off and find a spot on the floor. Welcome to Mr. G's Room, G's Room, G's Room. Welcome to Mr. G's Room now. So Mr. Kim gets led in from the car park into the corridor and two students burst into song. We want to welcome you. It's your work debut. Another boy joins in here. We're glad to see you and we want to get to know you. And this is Mr. G solo I spin out from the lockers. I really like your style. You got a crazy smile. You're my boss, you're my boss, you're my principal, my two-bottom-bow. And then we lead Mr. Kim out into the playground. Full cast joins in. Welcome, my boss, Mr. Kim, so let's discuss. Mr. Kim, so glad you're my principal. You're my principal. You're my boss. Skateboarders skate past, high-five him. Mr. G's front and centre. Welcome, my boss, Mr. Kim, so let's discuss. Mr. Kim, so glad you're my principal. You're my principal. You're my boss. Some extreme group choreo going on here. You're my boss. Mr. G gets lifted up by two boys. I'm Mr. G, head of drama, and you're my boss. Well, not technically head of drama.